welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mimi Chemtaisi Gilai, a girl from Nairobi, Kenya, very passionate about the financial markets and financial literacy, if I do say so myself. So if you are interested in listening to that kind of content, then please do join the party or join the financial gang by subscribing to this channel. So today's video would be a follow-up from the previous video that I did, and I did say I would give pointers on how to create an emergency fund. So today's video would be on how to create an emergency fund. So what exactly is an emergency fund? An emergency fund is a pool of money set aside in case of the unforeseeable future. So for example, the best example that I would use right now is we do have coronavirus right now, and it's uncertain how long it could go for. It's uncertain what financial measures could have to be put in place. So because of that and that uncertainty, some people are not able to work, some people have been laid off, and it's just we're all aloof and hanging in the air and in such a gray area space. So because to avoid that being aloof and oblivious and in that gray area space, we do come up with money that we set aside in case of a disaster. It doesn't have to be necessarily negative all the time. Sometimes it could be also money that you're putting aside for a good big purchase that you're going to make. So an emergency fund is never just supposed to be for a disaster, by the way. From the name emergency, it's just an emergency money that you need abruptly, like all of a sudden. So yeah, purely for the unforeseeable future and any events that could occur that you hadn't planned for, and so that you don't limit yourself at that specific time. So step number one for you to create an emergency fund would be to write down all your expenses. So if you would want to grab a calculator or your iPad or your notebook, if you're people who want to write down all your expenses. That's step number one. So you go to your transport expenses, you go to your housing expenses, you go to your food expenses, you go to your insurance expenses, you go to your personal expenses, you go to your business expenses. Anything that you feel like needs to be under the expenses or the things that you're spending on a regular basis, write them down. Every single thing. I always tell my students, even things like M-Pesa transactions, if you do know that this is the amount of M-Pesa transactions that you do make in a month, that extra expense, that transaction cost is still an expense. So go break it down till that point where you're writing every single expense that you are incurring. Then step number two would be for you to add all these expenses. So if you add everything and it comes to, for example, a total of 100,000 Kenya shillings or 50,000 Kenya shillings, let's use 100,000 for this example. That's the total of. So step number three would be for you to actually multiply this total that you've gotten, multiplied by, for example, 6 months. My recommendation, by the way, if you're saving for more than 24 months, it's a bit far. It's a bit too far. There's nothing wrong with doing that. You could save up until where you're comfortable, but I normally recommend from 24 months coming down, which is 2 years, purely because you don't know how long. You cannot guarantee that you can live for an extra 2 years. You cannot guarantee, actually you can never guarantee that you can live for as long as even a day. But if you're saving for more than 24 months from where I'm seated, you're saving much more than you're investing. You should be investing that extra surplus somewhere for it to be multiplying, as opposed for you to be seated in that emergency fund. By the way, emergency fund money is usually just put there, seated silently. This is not money that you're touching and investing. This is not investment money. This is emergency fund money. In case hell breaks loose now, you're going to get that money and use it now. It's not like it's invested somewhere and the returns are coming back another day and you can't get it. No. It's money seated somewhere waiting for you to pick it. For me, what's worked best for me has been using my M-Shwari locked savings account as my emergency fund. I just put money there continuously. So yeah, M-Shwari is such an affordable or convenient way if you are disciplined. If you're not disciplined because it's at the access of your phone, you can easily keep removing and re-putting and removing and saying I'll return later. So also discipline is very important. If you're not able to do things like I'm sure you do have bank accounts that do have like locked savings, which is what I would recommend, and which I think I'm sure one, or I do know it also does get about 7% per annum of the total savings that you put, or the total emergency fund money you put there. Yeah, so my recommendation would be for you to save between 6 to 24 months. Yeah. 6 to 12 months for younger people, 12 to 24 months for older people, and then you multiply that total that you've gotten, 100,000 multiplied by the 6 months. You start small, right? Multiplied by the 6 months, then you get 600,000. So the target is to have 600,000 by the time it gets to 6 months. Or rather, your emergency fund should have 600,000 for you to be comfortable. Another person would say, I'd want to save for 12 months. So you'd be doing your 100,000 multiplied by the 12 months to get the 1.2 saved. In case hell breaks loose, you have a whole year's worth of savings such that you could live your life comfortably for 1 year. Another person would say, I'd want to save for 24 months. So you'll do your 100,000 multiplied by the 24 months, and they say they'll put aside 2.4 every single month, or they'll put aside 2.4 once off for it to capacitate for that period of time in case anything happens. So the reality of it is that majority of the times, this money that you'll be making, maybe from your income or from anywhere, that's where you'll be getting money to put into the emergency fund. So the idea is to save as much as possible when you still have money flowing in towards you, and spend as little as possible now when you still have the capacity, especially when you're younger. Yeah, because when you're younger, you probably have more energy to change jobs, you probably have more psych to make extra money, you probably have like 3, 4, 5 other hustles that you're doing. And instead of buying flashy cars and flashy things, this is the time for you to actually get that money. So it's as easy as that. It's simply, number one, write down your expenses. Number two, total your expenses and make sure you've written everything down. Total your expenses in a month. Get the total and then now multiply by how many months you want to save for. In case anything happens, this money should cover you for X amount of months. So 6 amounts of months. So you multiply that 100 multiplied by the 6, such that in case of anything, you'll start using that money and you'll know it will take you up until 6 months. If you start using that money, it will take you up until 12 months. If you start using that money, it will take you up until 24 months. It will take you up until 36 months. It will take you up until the amount of months that you do want to save for. My recommended amount, I did say again, is 24 months coming down and 6 months going up. So between 6 to 24 months is my recommended amount of money that you should save on your emergency fund. I hope this did guide you on how to create an emergency fund. It's very, very important because the future is unpredictable. Past results are not a guarantee of future results, so you never know what the future holds financially. So because of that, protect yourself, cushion yourself. Yes, and yeah, please do leave your comments down below on please do leave your comments down below on the recommended plans you would do for your emergency fund, and please do give us a thumbs up if this video did help you or guide you financially. And yes, I do look forward to all of us saving money for any emergency. And yes, see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.